Welcome to the Long COVID Kids Educational Toolkit. Video 4. Supporting children with long COVID in the classroom.
Every day I go to school, it's very tiring. So then I get very tired, and then when I get home, I'm very angry and upset. So it's hard to rest.
In the previous video, we explored how long COVID affects education and families. In this video, we will discuss long COVID from the child perspective, ways to support children and young people with their learning, whether they are in the classroom, learning from home, or in an alternative setting. All resources mentioned in this video can be found in the handbook that accompanies this video series. During the second and third videos, we mentioned that some children may be too unwell to attend school due to long COVID. They may need to prioritize their health before returning to school. The cautious tortoise flowchart can be used to guide decision-making. It's important to acknowledge that some children may continue to be too unwell for school in the longer term. They might either be unable to attend or only able to attend for a few hours a week. Their ability to attend might fluctuate due to the unpredictable nature of the condition. Let's begin by listening to the voices of children and young people living with long COVID.
I get help at school by letting me rest and having time away from the schoolwork to help me focus. I also don't have to do PE or any physical activities.
Children and young people shared their experiences of living with long COVID, describing how it affects their cognitive skills, energy levels, emotions, and physical well-being. Fatigue is one of the most commonly reported symptoms and significantly impacts a child's ability to engage in education. Children describe their fatigue as tiring, exhausting, debilitating, draining, and that it makes them feel heavy and weary. Some describe their head as feeling heavy and unsupported, and they may feel like they are about to collapse. Fatigue affects their overall energy levels and makes them feel disconnected from their own lives. Children with long COVID often experience cognitive difficulties such as brain fog, memory problems, word finding, and difficulty focusing. They describe their minds as feeling blank, like there is nothing in there. Some compare it to not being able to think or having a car that is slowing down, but never quite coming to a stop. They may feel like their brain is slow, drained, or broken. Descriptions vary by age, vocabulary, and symptom severity. Understanding and processing information can be challenging, as if there's a brick wall or void preventing them from grasping concepts. Living with long COVID can evoke various emotions in children and young people. They express feeling sad, depressed, angry, helpless, broken, and fed up. The experience is often described as horrible, scary, boring, and stressful. They hate the limitations it imposes on their lives and the challenges it brings to their emotional well-being. Children with long COVID may face social difficulties and changes to their sense of self and identity. They miss their friends and feel left behind, alone, lonely, isolated, and trapped. Their condition limits their ability to participate fully in social activities and affects their sense of belonging and connection. Children with long COVID also experience various physical symptoms and pain. They describe feeling shaky, faint, sick, or sore. Common descriptions include aches, stabbing pains, weakness, and nausea. These physical symptoms further contribute to their overall discomfort and impact daily life. Long COVID Kids advises that all children are screened for post-exertional symptom exacerbation, and where this is present, they may need to avoid PE or strenuous activities. A healthcare professional can advise, and there is excellent information on the Long COVID Physio website on safe return to exercise and managing post-exertional symptom exacerbation.
My son only has, say, 15% mental energy that he used to have and 1% physical energy. And if he goes over that, then he crashes. And, you know, to go over it, it can be just literally going out and everything being too noisy and his brain having to work too hard. And then he'll be even worse symptoms and just be even worse fatigue and be laid up for days.
If we take the 4 areas from the SEND code of practice: communication and interaction, social, emotional and mental health, cognition and learning, and finally, sensory and physical needs. Let's first start with communication and interaction. Children with long COVID may have difficulty expressing themselves and finding words when they are fatigued, are experiencing cognitive dysfunction, also known as brain fog. And finally, they may feel like they don't understand or feel anxious as a result of these difficulties. Cognition and learning. Extreme fatigue, headaches, difficulty concentrating, memory problems and brain fog are common challenges for these children. They may have gaps in learning due to missed school, reduced attendance, or a regression in skills. Social, emotional, and mental health. Long COVID can lead to anxiety due to the duration or severity of symptoms, healthcare experience, lack of understanding of long COVID from others, missed school or limited social opportunities. Anxiety can also be a symptom of long COVID for some children. Children may also experience social isolation, a lack of school belonging, a sense of loss or change to their sense of self and identity. Sensory and physical needs. Children with long COVID may have new or worsened sensitivities to noise and light, changes in vision and hearing, or distortions in smell or taste. They might also experience chest pains, palpitations, joint or muscle pain or weakness, mobility challenges, dizziness, nausea, headaches, fevers, stomach or gastric difficulties, allergies or other physical symptoms.
The symptoms that I get with long COVID could be leg cramps if I've done too much and arm cramps. I get really tired very often. I find it really hard to concentrate in school and I often find myself zoning out. Some of the things that make it easier to go to school would definitely be my friends, because they really just bring like the joy and fun of school back, rather than me just having to focus on being behind and worrying, and they'll also always be there to catch me up if I do need their help. So they really just make life so much easier for me.
As we have already learnt, long COVID is an umbrella term which can incorporate many different and fluctuating symptoms. Different children will experience different symptoms at different times. This means that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to supporting children and young people in the classroom, and a flexible, individualized approach will be needed. Educators will also need to consider children's access to education and their inclusion, the impact of their symptoms on learning, homework and exams, as well as the impact of symptoms on well-being, for example, considering anxiety, isolation, self-esteem, belonging and friendships. Educators can use the graduated approach, which involves a staged approach to meeting the needs and making reasonable adjustments to support children at school. Many of the strategies can be provided from within school support, without the need for an Education, Health and Care Plan, or EHCP. However, it's good to note that more specialist resources or provision may require an EHCP. It is also important to acknowledge the different roles that an educator may have. For example, a class teacher in a primary school, a form tutor in a secondary school. A teaching assistant or home tutor may have more opportunities for spotting difficulties, as they are more likely to see a child regularly, and they will be key in putting individualized and flexible support strategies in place. However, subject teachers in secondary schools and other educators who see children less regularly may need more information about the young person's needs and what support they need. Additionally, a SENCO, pastoral support or head of year, may have a more strategic role in implementing statutory guidance for supporting children with medical needs, sharing information with the wider staff group, liaising with medical professionals, and liaising with and supporting families. Communication among all staff members is crucial, as different individuals may spot different issues based on their relationship with the child, the time they spend with them, or subject-specific skills. Additionally, maintaining a strong, positive communication link between the school, child, and parents is vital. It's important to involve the child in forming and reviewing support plans, as they will know their own situation, feelings, and what does or doesn't work for them.
Some things that I did in school to make it a little bit easier was me and my friend would sometimes go on walks around the school that just let us both have a break from the classroom. And I also had a special maths class that I would go to make sure that I was all caught up and I was able to take it at my own pace, which was really good to have. And one more thing would be Teams, where I was able to privately message my teacher to let her know that I wouldn't be in, or where she could update me on whatever we were doing the next day and what the timetable would be like. So that was just really good for me.
In the following sections, we will provide examples of support arrangements or strategies. Please refer to the handbook for further details. Supporting communication and interaction. Break instructions down into smaller chunks, repeat instructions, check for understanding by asking the child to repeat back what they have heard. Provide visual breakdowns and reminders of steps to complete or tasks. Use simplified language, shorter sentences, and visual supports and prompts to reinforce verbally presented information. And lastly, establish a secret signal between the child and teacher to communicate when feeling anxious, fatigued, or in need of help or a break. Supporting cognition and learning needs. With respect to fatigue, modify tasks and homework expectations and allow extra time for tasks or exams. Provide rest breaks during tasks, lessons, or exams. Offer a quiet place to rest during breaks or lunchtimes. Offer an exit card to leave the classroom without question when needed, and/or signal that they can use to ask for help, or to show that they do not understand or need a break. Reduce attendance expectations and reduce timetables. And finally, provide opportunities to learn from home or online when physically being in school is too difficult. Next, we will look at supporting brain fog, headaches, and promoting attention, memory, and thinking skills. Ensure there is a clear endpoint for each task with clarity on what the finished task will look like, or a specified end time. Use visual prompts, structures, checklists, timetables, or reminders. Use knowledge organizers, mind maps, or flow diagrams to record ideas visually. And last of all, reduce the amount of writing or copying required from the whiteboard. Use alternatives such as a laptop, note-taking, or mind mapping. If a child has missed school and has gaps in their learning or their skills have regressed, identify learning gaps through careful assessment and monitoring of progress. Plan individualized support in collaboration with the child and their family to address these gaps. Maintain regular contact with the family to share key learning areas and progress. And finally, make allowances for gaps in knowledge when testing to prevent children's confidence decreasing. Now we will look at supporting social, emotional, and mental health needs. If a child is experiencing some anxiety caused by the duration and severity of difficulties, a lack of understanding, unknown timescales for recovery, missed school or missed opportunities to socialize, there are a range of interventions that can be put in place to support the pupil. Support could include: provide the child with a supportive key worker, for example, an emotional literacy support assistant, mentor or Thrive practitioner, to build a relationship with, talk to, and listen to their needs. Well-being check-ins. Evidence-based anxiety interventions. And lastly, opportunities to express themselves and their feelings, for example, through art or drama. If a child is socially isolated because they can't attend school full-time, have more medical appointments, or participate less in extracurricular activities, you can help by regular check-ins from a key staff member like a form tutor, teaching assistant, emotional literacy support assistant, or key adult. Utilize online platforms to facilitate communication and connection with friends and classmates when the child cannot attend school. Address the possibility of stigma and a lack of understanding from peers, working with them to understand differences and to promote acceptance, empathy, and kindness. And finally, maintain a close and supportive homeschool relationship. To help a child who's lost their sense of identity and self-esteem due to reduced school attendance and limitations on social activities, hobbies, and sports, you can support with: apply acceptance and commitment therapy principles for self-acceptance, presence, identifying strengths, values, and goal setting. Provide opportunities for the child to develop and share their strengths and achievements, such as keeping diaries or records of accomplishments. Teach problem-solving and self-regulation skills to build resilience in response to challenges by asking questions like: what has worked before? How can we break this big problem into little pieces? And lastly, boost the child's confidence with specific praise that highlights their effort and approach, fostering a sense of achievement and pride. Next, let us look at supporting physical and sensory needs. You can help manage physical symptoms such as gastrointestinal issues, pain, or dizziness with exit cards, teacher communication, healthcare collaboration, and personalized healthcare plans. Recognize that busy, noisy spaces, such as the lunch hall, may overwhelm children. Support mobility around the school with early exit passes, route plans, and buddy systems. And finally, liaise with relevant professionals and incorporate their guidance in addressing physical and sensory needs. Children and young people's input is incredibly valuable when identifying what they want school staff to understand regarding their experience with long COVID. Additional support and resources can be found in the accompanying handbook and also online on the following sites: the Long COVID Kids Support Guide, found at longcovidkids.org; the Long COVID Kids Support for Schools, found at calameo.com; Long COVID Teaching Resources, curated for you by twinkle.co.uk; and finally, Long COVID Kids Schools and Education Professionals by padlet.com. So what can you do as educators to support children and young people in the classroom? Seek the views of children and young people. Ask them how they are, what would help them, and how they would like to be supported. Be flexible and consider the individual child's unique needs, that these may fluctuate over time. Put support strategies into place and adapt the child's support plan as and when needed. Consider that the child or young person's focus may need to be on getting better and well-being, and that this may need to take priority over attendance and learning for a while. And finally, liaise with any involved professionals and other school staff to understand the impact of long COVID on the child's access to education, inclusion, learning, and well-being. After watching all the videos in this series, you will have the tools to know how to recognize long COVID, understand its varying symptoms in different children and young people, as well as support parents by signposting them to their GP if necessary. Understand the importance of prioritizing recovery and health before returning to full-time education. Be aware of effective strategies for supporting children and young people with long COVID in their learning. Be familiar with alternative options for those unable to physically attend school. Understand the impact of long COVID on children, young people and their families, including issues related to stigma and bullying. And finally, know where to find additional information, seek support, and access further training or handbooks.
My daughter did not want to make a video herself as she was afraid of being ridiculed. This in itself says a lot about how long COVID is perceived and what our kids have had to put up with. This is her message to all the teachers out there. If you see me in school, remember how hard I've already had to work just to get here. I have had to get myself out of bed. I've had to get washed and dressed. I've had to have breakfast, do my teeth and brush my hair. I've had to organise my school bag and then travel in. All this before you even see me. Each of these tasks is a challenge on its own, and trying to do them all together before the school day even starts is at best challenging, but on a bad day totally impossible. By the time I get into school, I am already exhausted. Please take notice of me. Please acknowledge that I am there and what an achievement that is. Do not just ignore me. I already feel invisible to the world. Do not berate me for not staying as long as you may have liked or planned. Be proud that I have made it in at all. Finally, remember, just because I could manage it one day does not mean that I can do the same the next.
Thank you for watching the Long COVID Kids Educational Toolkit series.